Greetings, all you taxidermists. Welcome to Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company Thursday afternoon Facebook Live. Tom Matuska here, along with Brett Wingfield, and it's a warm one out there today.
It is. It's been a long time since we've said that.
I know. Kind of winter just kept going and going and going, and I think we're getting gypped out of our spring because it went from 40 degrees to 90, 91 yesterday.
Yes. Yeah, I think the car went through.
And 80 something. They put a car out on West Okoboji, and when you buy raffle tickets on it, and you pick a time and a date and that sort of thing, and when it falls through, you get more money than you could ever know what to do with.
And you won?
I think I should have, because I bought a lot of tickets, but I haven't got the call yet. But the car did go down, and I think they might have lost my number, but they will be calling.
Maybe it went down with the car.
Yeah, my number went with the cars, right. Story of my life.
Yeah.
We've had a busy spring, and
we didn't get spring. It was late winter.
You judged a couple shows. You were in Minnesota, and you were in South Dakota.
I was, while you were in Iowa.
Yeah, and we had a supply show in Wisconsin, and it's kind of very fun to see these shows, and you see we go to so many that we see taxidermists from the year before who just continue to get better and better and better, and if you go to the same show enough times, you see a lot of progress in their work, and it's real rewarding to see. We see a lot of mounts on our bases and our artificial woods and driftwoods and our wood bases. A lot of forms that we have manufactured.
Lots of birds on the reeds this year. Saw those, the metal reeds. Those looked really nice, really, really nice.
It's just fun to see. If you have never been to a show, make sure you go to your local shows for sure and support the taxidermy associations, because they are the ones that are going to be standing behind you if anything ever comes up, and there's always somebody trying to knock down the taxidermist. So, whether it's supplies or chain supply, supply chain or whatever it happens to be. So go to your shows and get involved, sign up, and even volunteer to be secretary or something like that.
Oh, they're always looking for help.
Always looking for help.
Yeah.
And go and learn, and you're going to see suppliers. The suppliers usually set up booths and showcasing all their new products and things that are new to the taxidermist that they haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So that's always fun. Almost every state has one, I think. We have didn't have the World this year, but we will have the Nationals in Sioux Falls in June.
July.
In July, and that's turned into a really nice bigger show, and well represented by the supply companies. And we'll be there, and we'll have a big display.
Yeah.
And stop by the booth and visit with us and tell us what you're looking for, and we'll see if we can't find it.
We'll have all kinds of fun stuff there. That'll be a weekend that they won't want to miss.
Yep, it's a big one. And Sioux Falls is a nice town. It's a nice area, and they take care of us real good over there.
Water park for the kids. The hotel has a water park.
Nice zoo.
Yep, Sioux Falls Zoo is great to take pictures.
Yep.
Fun time.
And I don't even remember what we showed them the last time.
I think we did pedestal rods.
Pedestal rod attachments.
Maybe. I think. Something like that.
For making you sit through all of the reruns on the Thursdays until we were trying to get our act together and come up with some new material for you, because we don't want to keep showing you the same thing over and over. Although some of our old ones was with our beginning equipment, and I think we've got better equipment now, and we have a great producer. We have camera people to die for,
and all kinds of stuff.
We got a good staff behind us, and I think the Thursday lives are getting to be a little more professional. At least we hope so.
We're trying.
And this week we're going to show you ears, and it's going to be a two-part presentation. We'll do it this week and we'll do it next week. Whenever I look at taxidermy work, you go to a show and you see a really nice piece that catches your eyes, and two things jump out at you. One is the eyes, of course, but the ears. I always look at the ears to see what kind of edges the ears have, what kind of attitudes they have, how big or how small the ear bases are, and the ears can tell a lot about the knowledge that the taxidermist has in what he's doing. So ears are super, super important, and they really will give away what you know about the craft that you're in. So we want to show you, we've done ears a lot of different ways. We've used a lot of different products. Ears have a steep learning curve, for lack of a better term. You don't just do good ears right out of the chute. So we're going to show you what we've gravitated to. We're going to show you this week how to take care of a green hide, how to take care of a tan hide, different ear liners to use. Now there's two different ways to do ears. One is with ear liners, which we do mostly in our shop. Another thing is bonded ear methods with auto body putty and little reinforcement. And there's lots and lots of people that do bonded ears. They're quicker, they're easier. I have trouble making a nice ear, as nice of an ear as I can with an ear liner, but I spend more time with an ear liner also. But we're going to show you all that in the next two sessions, and or three. We'll see how fast I can talk. I'll talk really fast, but we'll see what we can get through the first couple times here, and maybe we'll finish. So I think we'll start with. Customer brings you a deer, make sure that you tag it, just like always. We always look over the head really carefully, because invariably you'll have somebody come to pick up their deer and they'll say, oh, he's got a split ear, that's not my cape. They don't realize that stuff. So check over ears and bullet holes and cuts and that sort of thing, drag marks, and point that out to the customer so he's not surprised when he gets a deer back and says it's not his because the ear wasn't split on his deer. I've even had them go and get a picture to show me before that my deer didn't have a split ear, only to see in the photograph, oh my gosh, it does.
Yeah.
So we make sure we tag them right in front of the customer. That's really important for us. Name, address, all that kind of thing. I always have them watch me, either a zip tie or a piece of tape, wrap our tie-back tags around the antlers to start with, and I also have another tag that we put on the cape so that it's tagged two places, antlers as well as a cape. Then cape them out as usual. You can make a short cut down the back of the neck. You can make a long cut if you prefer. Short cut will save you a little bit of sewing, but it's a little bit tougher to flesh and a little bit more difficult to fit on your form, but it will in the end save you sewing and a seam that you might not be able to hide. This cape is a replacement cape for another person that we're getting it ready for, and we took it out of the freezer. It was caped off of the animal. It's a long cut down the back. It was just caped off the animal, put in a plastic bag, marked with the size that it was, and frozen. And so from here, this cape needs to have all the prep work done. You would split the lips. We usually take the cartilage out of the nose. We turn the ear liners inside out so that the cartilage is exposed, and then we'll flesh the cape also, and most of the time you can flesh it with a knife on the beam, whatever means is comfortable for you. We like to use a fleshing machine, and we can make short work of them on a fleshing machine, and it gives you a really nice, even, professional fleshing. And that gets us to this right here. So if you want to, you can show them what you do with the ears.
We can do that. I think this would be a really good example of one of those deer that could come in, the customer doesn't realize it has a split ear because it doesn't really appear to from here. But if you look really close, this ear does have a pretty significant split. So like you were saying, this would be one that we would really want to show the customer that it has a pretty significant split ear, and as well as this one over here. It has a split there. Now this one will be an easy repair. It'll grow right back together, and very possible that the customer wouldn't even notice that it would have done that.
And we always check with customers too, because some people do not want a split ear, you know, and we fixed many where they thought it was a detractant from the look of the deer, and we can fix that and make it go away if they want.
I remember an ear that got fixed that shouldn't have gotten fixed. That happens too. But at this point, like Tom said, this deer has just come fresh off of the head. We did do just a little prep work to it earlier. We've split lips and the nose and stuff because we've shown you that before. So at this point, you can see that this ear base came directly off the skull, just flat like that. Nothing has been split off of it. This one, we've cheated and we're a little bit ahead, and we've gone up the back side of the ear a little bit to start that because it's easier to get your ear splitters in there now. I'll show you ear splitters, but I think I'm not going to do that very far on this ear because if I did, we'd split it out. And some people don't mind splitting out a tear like that, and they'll sew it up later and fix it, but I'm going to try to avoid that. In fact, that might be a good, this might be a good one for that little ear splitter. Yeah. So the first thing I've done is I've skinned up the back side of the ear just a little ways. You can see that's further than it would have come off of the head. I can show you quick if I should probably share that. We would split just up the back side of the ear a little ways, like so. There's the scudiform cartilage, and we'll just work our way around and go all the way up the back side so the ear splitter has somewhere to go, and we'll create a little pocket for the ear splitter to go in. Now I could go all the way around that, and I might later depending on time, but for right now I'll just split this other one that we have started.
And all of that meat you're going to want to take off before the tanning process.
Yep, we'll have it nice and clean just like that. And right now I will just take this ear splitter and go right up the back side of this ear. And I'm going to hold tight, pushing forward and pulling back on the skin, and just go real slow. Anytime you use an ear splitter, slower is better. And really try and stay in contact with the edge of the skin that you're splitting so that you don't push it too far. If you see shiny silver come out the other side, you went a little too far.
And while you're doing that, ear splitters can work really well on most deer, mule deer and whitetail. It gets a little bit more difficult. An elk can be split, but not as easily as a deer. Buffalo, I think we've broken several pair over the years on buffalo, do not split very well. Bears can be difficult splitting the ear, muskox, that sort of thing. You almost have to do them with a knife and a tool and just start inverting them. So if you don't have a set of ear splitters, you know, don't panic, worry about it. A lot of people don't, and they do it with just a stick and turn it inside out.
In fact, I'll probably do that with this one just because of that split. I'll show them a little bit further with the ear splitter.
And these ear splitters are cast. They're cast aluminum, and they can break.
They can, and you don't want that to happen. And I'm just going just a little bit, sorry.
No, you're good. If they get dried out, if they happen to be hung too long, sometimes they do not split well, and sometimes you'll split them and when they're fresh and you'll think, wow, it split like a dream.
Yeah. And now you can see I've turned this one out to there. I haven't gotten to that split yet, but I'm 2/3 of the way, and I think from here I'm just going to take a scalpel and a dowel rod and show you that. And we're just going to put the dowel rod on the underside of the ear and just hold it there and split against it.
And ear splitters don't fit very well up in an antelope ear either.
Oh,
so
true.
we have minute little micro dowel rods, real pointy, But you got to be careful with the pointy ones because you can poke them out the end of the
Yeah.
end of the ear. But a little dowel rod, just put a little pressure on the seam and cut it just like Brett's showing you here, and it'll just keep butterflying open.
And we'll just work our way all the way around. You'll see that little white connective tissue. Try and make sure I don't move too much. Sorry, Kate.
Now, no matter what method you choose of mounting your ears, whether it's the bonded ear method with Bondo or it's ear liners and some kind of adhesive, this is imperative for the tanning process. And the reason Brett is turning it inside out is to gain access to that ear skin on the inside of the ear because it has to be salted. And with the cartilage in it, you can't get salt to penetrate the skin, so you have to get the ear turned inside out so that it can be salted, drawing moisture away from the hair roots. Or you'll have ears with no hair.
That's good, isn't it?
And when people start out and not familiar with what happens when things aren't done entirely correctly, a lot of times they'll get, I remember my first deer, I didn't realize what I was doing, and I got a lot of ears back from the tannery with no hair in them. So then you start grabbing white paint, and you start grabbing flesh paint and everything, but nothing covers like deer hair does.
Yeah, it's hard to correct when there's no hair inside the ear.
Now you're using a number 11 scalpel blade.
Yes.
Is that your choice?
That would be my choice for certain for ear edges and all the time for me, but I can't imagine doing ears without a number 11. I think I'd cut too many holes with a number 10.
And those are the very, very sharp, pointy ones.
Yes, like that. You can see that. There we go. And the number 10 would be more like a paring knife, just a rounded point. But I'm going to continue going around these and get them to the edge. They don't have to watch all of that. Do you want to show them
Different parts?
Yeah, ear parts, and we'll come back when I get a little closer.
There's a huge selection of plastic pieces for every part of taxidermy that we do. Ear liners is our choice of making our ears look good, and I'm going to run through a few of them. They're very similar. This is a fabric form ear liner, thermal form. It's heated with heat, and then the plastic is shaped over mold. This one has the ear base on it, and I don't have. Can you pass me that deer behind you? Back there. There.
Oh man.
Yeah, that on the form, right down, straight down, the deer form.
On the floor. Yep. There you go.
Any one will work. Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
the ear line.
It's a dirty one. This is when you have a ear liner with the bases on it. This has the ear butt built on it. It's going to sit right about here. This ear, the way it is now, you can't do an ears back deer because if you do, the base is already preformed. Moose and elk and bear and deer and ibex and puku and
Multiple sizes of many of them.
yes, we do. But it's very good. They're easy to trim. They have a texture on them, so they hold glue really, really good, and the adhesion on these is great. You can trim them if you want to make them smaller. For instance, the kudu ear. This is a kudu ear that we'll probably maybe get into mounting this week for you. Show you live next time. Am I jumping ahead? Get busy with that here. We got to do the kudu. Anyway, this is a single layer of thermoform plastic. Our kudu ears come in 3 different sizes, small, medium, and large.
Yep.
And sometimes we have people that want, they're fairly flexible, and they can be doubled. This is a doubled. A lot of people will order the doubled ones, or, I mean, this is a hard kudu ear, about the same thickness as the real cartilage. A lot of times we have people order the moose, kudu, Cape Buffalo in a doubled version like that.
And why would they do that? Just
they're strong, like the single version can get kinked. Sure. Once they're glued and the skin dries, they're quite strong, but some people are a little insecure about the flexibility of them, sure. I'm gonna say.
Do you want the kudu cape to show them different sizes?
Where is that?
I have one. He's right on the sink in the back room. He's just draped right over the sink.
Aha. And this kudu is a smaller kudu. And we just soaked down the head before the show today. And what we do now, I had a young man work for me one time that would take cartilage out of the ear. Young. And he would save that piece of cartilage and take it out in one piece, like just beautiful. It looked like it was an ear liner almost. Then he would zip tie both pieces of cartilage to the cape somewhere. When we went to mount the animal, whatever it happened to be, we could take the cartilage, which is in the exact shape of the way it came out, and we could lay it over our ear liner that we're hoping to fit, and you could line it up perfectly, and you could see that that cartilage was either too short or too long, and you could trim these accordingly or go to a bigger size. It was really, really convenient.
You tell him his secret?
His fingernail?
Yeah.
He had a fingernail that you could shuck oysters with, and he groomed his. We have lots of stories.
Yeah, we do.
You didn't think I'd know that.
I did.
He had a long, long fingernail that he specifically groomed, and when you looked at it, it looked a lot like a hockey stick down there. It was very long, and he would sharpen it, and he could take out ear cartilage better than anybody I've ever seen, as well as shuck oysters. All right, now just looking at this ear, I don't have ear cartilage, so my only method is to guesstimate with this ear, and I can slide this ear in, and depending on how it fits, I can trim that or go to a larger size.
And speaking of that, I think the biggest secret to nice ears is a good fit. Not too tight.
You want loose ears. I might not even get this in here right now. You want loose ears, but not sloppy. If an ear is too tight, you're going to encourage drumming. And drumming, of course, you know, is when the skin stretches across the gap. Now, this does not want to go in here all that easy because it's dry. When you mount it and put glue on it, it's going to slide in very easily. This is actually a much better fit than I thought it was going to be.
Is that a medium or a
This
small?
is the medium.
Oh.
So it's important to line up the edges. And we test fit all of our ears. Just because you have a kudu ear, don't think it's going to work for every kudu. Just because you have a whitetail ear, don't think it's going to work for every whitetail. Brett was working on with a little bit of experience, you're going to be able to look at an ear and know if it's going to be a good fit or a bad fit. You were working on a deer this afternoon, and I just looked at it and I thought, wow, that's a small deer for a whitetail. Small ear.
Small ear, yeah.
Okay, this is not bad. It's much too tight to fit well. I have, fits around the back really nice along the back, but I have considerable amount of drumming right here. Now what I would like to do with that ear liner is I'll make a little pencil mark, and I'll probably start off by taking 1/8 of an inch off of the bottom lobe of the ear. And I'll take scissors and I'll just carefully trim off 1/8 of an inch. Try it again. You're going to notice it doesn't take very much because it's 1/8 of an inch this way, 1/8 of an inch that way. You're only cutting 1/8 of an inch, but it's kind of double when you test fit it. I'm going to test fit it again until I have a real nice, comfortable fit.
Now for those at home that aren't sure if they have a medium kudu or a large kudu or a small kudu, what would they do?
I think in the catalog we have measurements, and the measure. You go,
think we do.
Because I gave the right answer. So.
I think we do.
And I think our measurements are length and then across the surface. So, and it's the length to the V, to the little, where it joins down here. If I say something wrong, you tell me. So this kudu ear is probably going to be a 9 by, I'm going to go to the widest point right here, by a 4.5. So when you take your kudu ear, you're going to measure from here down to the where it joins down at the V, inner ear. It's going to be, 9, hopefully somewhere around there, and then you're going to measure across the skin. And you can get pretty close that way.
That'll get them in the ballpark, at least for some of these that they don't have.
The right size ear liner, probably not giving you enough information, but is very, very important to having nice ears. And make sure that you split them to the very, very edges, because if you are back 1/8 of an inch, they're not going to fit. It's going to be
that's a good
too
point.
tight. So this, rather than going to a small kudu ear, I think we're probably going to go with these ears. And like I said, just trim them and start slow, test fit them again, start slow, test fit them again. Whatever you trim off the right side, the left ear is probably going to be the same. So these are going to work. They're going to have to be trimmed a little bit. Now when it comes to deer, there's a huge selection of commercial white-tailed deer ear liners out there. And most of them, we can start here, like I said, the thermoform with the ear butts on them. And a lot of the ears, any of the companies that make ear liners offer either with the butt on, remember those are going to be made for ears forward, or the butt off. I have a selection of those, like these are Ohio ears, and they're injection molded ears. These have a little ball on them for a key, for a method of attaching them. It takes an extra little part. We usually cut that off and build our ear butt. This one is just a white, I think it's called a 360. Usually the ears will come in a small, medium, and large. And our deer in the Midwest, I always tell people, if we don't measure our deer ears, we will look at a deer, and like the one today I saw that you were working on, I thought was exceptionally small. I would recommend a small ear liner, but I'd probably try a medium to see. But if I took 100 deer from our typical mounting sampling here, I would say 98 of them are going to be mediums. We may have a large, we may have a small. Is that fair to say?
I think so, yeah.
Our mediums just typically is what we get here. And you will find the same thing in your locality. You may have deer where all the ears seem to be very, very big. But this is a Ohio 360 ear. Same style of ear in a pink version. The idea of the pink and red, you're going to find pink and red ear liners, is that it's a sales technique, and it can be beneficial sometime where a white ear liner may show through that thin skin and lighten your ear. A flesh-colored or a pink or red ear liner will show through and give you a pink cast to your ear. So there's those two versions. Another ear liner that I'm showing you what we use in our shop, the better ear liners. And the Ohio are good ear liners. Not a thing wrong with an Ohio ear liner. These are Kerry Cochran's Ultimate ear liners. Also, really a nice ear liner. They have a texture, and the texture is for adhesion to the glue. So, and we're going to talk about glues next week. I think we're going to get into, I'm probably show you as naming them before we started live today.
Yeah.
I think I got up to 7 of them. There's a lot of different versions of adhesions that you're going to glue this ear liner up in. And there's some that work really, really good. There's some that you have to be patient and babysit. And there's a couple that we don't have very good luck with. Not necessarily the product, it's probably the user.
Yeah.
But these are Kerry Cochran's Ultimate ear liners. We like them a lot. We use them quite often. Any of this plastic, we usually will rough these up, and we'll show you. We're going to put ear liners in for you probably next week. And if Brett hurries up, we'll do it now. We'll do it next week, but we'll put these ears in, and we'll show you how we scratch them up. You want to do everything to prep that deer hide, which starts right now in the caping part, to prep that deer hide so that this ear liner sticks and doesn't drum across. When ears drum, it'll ruin your day. You know, you try everything. We've fought drumming for many years, and it's just technique and doing things right from this stage all the way to gluing them in.
No shortcuts.
No shortcuts. Another very nice ear liner is Champion's Choice ear liners by Tim Grenchen and Clint Rickey. And these are new and really a nice looking ear liner. These also come with, they don't come with, at an little extra fee. We're going to show you how to build an ear base out of clay. And with clay, we like to do that. We think it's very beneficial because you can build a very accurate ear butt, but you also have some flexibility and movement without it pulling away from the form like this one and leaving a big void.
We're going to show them that too?
We're going to show them everything.
Oh my gosh.
That's the one thing when we go to shows, we have a lot of people comment on how detailed our live. I mean, we drug the walleye out for 17 times, I think, just to show people how to do a walleye.
We show them too much.
The bad thing about our videos is sometimes we show them so easy and make it look so easy that we have a lot of beginners that jump into things that they're not quite ready for.
That's true.
This is the Champion's Choice, and they can be fitted with an ear base like this, which actually indexes into a Champion Choice mannequin, which I do not have here. And you glue this up into the ear skin. This fits on here like that, a little bit of glue in your skin over there. Your muscle is completely modeled for you. Now here again, if this is an ears back, if you want to adjust, you have this front part of the ear that's going to cause you issues. So you're kind of locked into a position. The Ohio ears, same thing. So we're gonna, we typically don't use the ear bases. Not that they're not a good product. It's because we like doing them out of clay, and we have a lot of versatility with the clay. But for those people that don't want to build ear bases out of clay, the plastic ear butts are a great way to go. And they come, most of these companies have forward ears, backward ears, relaxed ears. There's a lot of different choices. You were smiling. What did I say?
Nothing. I was smiling at the guy who's sitting here still splitting on the same ear.
Oh, you're doing fine. I'll just keep talking. Really all right.
I picked the wrong ear.
Anyway, ear liners, we think we get a really, really nice ear, and it's all about nothing different than taxiing an animal. When you mount an animal on the deer, you're going to situate his eye skin around his eyes. You're going to shape the eyelids. You're going to shape the muzzle. You're going to tuck the lips where the lips go. It's taxiing. You are taxiing the dermis, the epidermis. And on a deer, when we were teaching students, I always said, forget about the rest of the deer. Mount one ear first. Yep. Don't worry about the rest of the project. This ear has to look good before you go to the second ear. Mount 2 ears, line up all your hair patterns, make sure nothing's drumming, check your inner ear, and once 2 ears have been mounted successfully, then it's time to put the cape on and start going with the rest of the deer. If your ears are all bent over and looking funny, and you've all seen them, you can go to any bait shop or sporting goods shop or something like that, and you're going to see a lot of ears doubled over like this that look really kind of goofy, that they just didn't do a good enough job. So we have a lot to show you. Next week we're going to include the bonded ear method and gluing in ear liners and adhesives and all different things like that. And there's more ears. I think I do not have McKinsey ears here. McKinsey has a pretty good selection of ears. Research has a pretty good selection of ears. I know they have similar ears to the thermoform ones that are vacuformed out of almost like cottage cheese container material. When I first got into taxidermy, they did not have ears for bears, and little animals, and we used pieces of lead, sheets of lead, and the sheets of lead you could scratch and make them rough and trim them the size of the shape of the cartilage, and you would glue them in. We even made them out of leather before, little sheets of leather. So you people that are fortunate enough to live in an age where this gets stamped out of an injection molded machine and you're off to the races, consider yourself lucky, because I did not learn that way.
Can you send those to California?
Oh, no. Proposition 65? No. No. We just had something today. Stout rougher pads can't go to California. Proposition 65. You poor people in California, you're not going to be able to do anything with anything because it doesn't comply. Our Createx paint, they even had to come up with new reducers.
That's right.
For Proposition 65.
That's right.
Just saying, we're pretty lucky here in Iowa. And how are we doing?
Oh my gosh, I picked the wrong ear.
Oh, that's good.
It's coming.
Now, the big secret, now, if that's going to be a bonded ear method or Bondo, you leave the cartilage in, correct?
Yes, yeah. And so far the cartilage is still on. All I'm doing is splitting the back side of the skin away from the cartilage. On the front side of the skin, or the interior, is still connected, which would be this side. This side of the ear, the skin is still connected to the cartilage. So we're just following the split and trying not to blow it out. I have a feeling this one is going to tear because it's got a split down the middle of it. There's a split within a split. This ear was worse than I thought.
And you run into that, though. You run into that kind of thing, and you just work around it.
We took out 3 deer in the last couple days, and every one of them has a split ear. This one's less than the rest.
Now, if this is a green deer that was taken off the animal and put right in a bag, and now you have it. It could have been one that you sent to the tannery, and then when it comes back, you probably treat them a little bit different when they go to the tannery. Do you stay back or anything?
Yeah, so if we know we're going to send them to the tannery, we will stay back from the very edge, probably an 1/8 to a 1/16 of an inch, just to give a little bit of security in case this fills with water or salt or both. The pickle, when they take it in and out, the idea is if it gets dropped or something set on it, it can burst. And so we stay back just a little ways from the edge. This one we're taking pretty close. I'm probably still an 1/8 to go here, still an 1/8 up there, and I'm working my way around the tip. We'll split this all the way out to the end, and it would go to the tannery. We would salt the inside of it now. Once this is split, we'll salt the inside, rub it all down, and get it ready to send off.
And that's a good point. Don't salt anything yet, because that salt really dries out that ear skin and makes this process really difficult.
Yeah, yes, absolutely it does. It's nice. This is probably the easiest to work with is right now when it's fresh versus pickled or even after it's tanned. It's the easiest. So if they were tanning it in-house and going to take care of them, would you split them all the way to the edge?
Then you can, because you're going to take care of it. You mentioned something earlier that made me think one year, and it had to be the way I described it or something. I probably told him take the hides out of the pickle and drain them and squeeze the water out of the ears,
Yeah.
because we had like 4 to 6 students all pop them like water balloons, and before we even realized it, and it had to be the way we described it, or
Sometimes.
bad teaching, I think.
Sometimes. But we can move on. I can put this one away. Actually, this is a good lesson too. When you're working with a green hide like this one, there's nothing keeping this from slipping. He's probably at his most vulnerable stage, and we know we've talked many, many times about bacteria growth, and bacteria requiring heat and moisture. Just the warmth from my hands in one continuous place can cause excessive heat on this ear. So if you were working on this ear on the clock, on a video, while people were watching, maybe it's time to put this ear down for a few minutes, just let it cool down, and we'll come back to it. And that would be a lot safer than if we were just to push forward and continue to keep it warm. So
We have had that a lot. We've not had, teaching students who aren't familiar with, how to run a scalpel and how fast this has to be done. Can put a lot of time into them, and when you go to help them, you touch their ear and it's 98.6. So you go, oh my gosh, it's too warm. Remember, Brett said warmth and moisture starts bacteria growth, and it can start really fast and move very fast. You can start to lose hair.
Yep, you sure can. If you want to show them this, I just turned this back out. That's about how far I am from the tip in that funny little spot. So I'd still want to get that split out another probably 1/4 of an inch before we go further.
And it's easiest to do now rather than after it's tanned, correct?
Yes, much easier. But shall we move to the tanned one?
Sure.
I got a dirty spot. You want to show them the tan cape on your side over there, nice and clean?
And you have your choice. 2 choices. Either tan them yourself or send them to the tannery. Brett's showing you that could go either way now. If you wanted to tan it yourself, or you can salt it and send it right to the tannery. This one has come back from the tannery, and depends on how the directions that you gave them when you sent them in, either dry tanned or wet tanned. And I don't know, sometimes we think we get more stretch with a dry tan cape. Sometimes we think we don't. So this one was dry tan, and when it comes, it's all dried, folded up in a box, just like a nice piece of leather. So we take the dry tan cape and we mix up a rehydration bath. And our rehydration bath usually consists of room temperature water. You'll see some tanneries recommend warm water. I've never liked doing that, but a lot of people do it. Room temperature water. We always put salt in the water to deter acid swelling. Acid swelling is a condition that we had a hide the other day that for no reason just started swelling up, and we added salt to the water and laid it out, salted it, and it just shrinks back to normal. But it's a scary situation when it happens. Salt in your rehydration bath will usually deter that or stop it. So we always, we don't measure. If I had to give you a measurement, I would say per 5 gallons of rehydration bath, I would put in a cup of salt. Is that feasible? Too much salt, and you may have crystallized salt on your hair after it dries, which you can wipe off the wet cloth. It's not anything that's going to hurt you. If you put too much salt in, you may not be able to stretch your hide as good as you want. It may shrink things, constrict things a little bit. This hide's been put in water with some salt, and then we always put a bactericide we use in our shop, X-Effect. X-Effect is a great commercial disinfectant like hospitals use. It's non-phenolic. Those of you that have been around for a long time know what phenol is like. It's like, I know you're right. When you were in a little grade school, some of you will know this, you had white glue and it smelled like peppermint. That was phenol, and it keeps the white glue from getting moldy and things like that.
Made the little kids eat it.
California has moldy glue now. But anyway, this one has been soaked, and you got to make sure that you soak them long enough for the ear cartilage to get really nice and soft, because it's dry and it's not gonna soak up very fast. So these are nice and supple.
We actually like to soak our hide, a dry hide, for an hour maybe. Take it out and drain it, and then put it in a bag and fridge it overnight, rather than leave it in a sink for that long enough for those ears to get supple.
And then when you take it out the next day out of the refrigerator, it's not going to measure quite as big as when it comes to room temperature.
Yep.
Yep. So do you want to show them on one of these?
I can.
It's going to be the same. So you have your choice. If that went to the tannery, we would have stayed back just a little bit, like maybe 1/8 of an inch, to make sure that when they tumble it, sawdust gets in there, moisture gets in there, juices.
I'm gonna grab a towel
and
wipe off my little spot real quick.
It doesn't burst those seams. So then we will split it just a little bit farther when it comes back from the tannery. And you're going to go around the entire seam. Number 11 scalpel blade works real well. And you're going to go around the entire seam, making sure that you've split it the whole way. You can use your fingers a little bit too by coaxing it. Whenever we try to split this with our fingers, don't use your shoulders, because your shoulders are going to burst. Use just your fingertips and your scalpel. Now you notice when this was cut off of the head, same with the one that Brett had, you notice how much inner ear canal is attached. We usually leave most of that on until it comes time to mount, and then if we're using an ear liner like this, we're going to make sure that we cut off enough of that so that it will still fit down in here. If you leave the whole eustachian tube down in there, it's going to ball up and give you a real funny looking ear on the inside.
And I just grabbed a spray bottle with some X-Effect in it, just to clean off our station. We had a green cape, we have a tan cape. Tan capes, some people and they're not.
No, they're sure not.
That's something that we want to be real careful of too. This one we've done some work to. This deer, they're split pretty close to the edges, but you can see we were talking about different injuries to ears. Even this deer has a hole punched through it, and you can see the scar, the remnants of the scar on this side, and also on that side. So that's almost
All through
something.
it.
Yeah, that's probably an antler time because we know this deer's not from this is not a farm deer. But that could be, you run into that quite often with game farm
Ear
animals.
tags, yeah.
Yeah, ear tags. So
Tags.
we would, yeah, and red stags. We would go about this exactly the same as I was doing with the other one. And I'll just run around the edge here. Should I take it out? Should I take the cartilage clear off?
Show them how
Start
to
it?
start anyway.
Sure. Two options here. We're going to start this first by going all the way to the edge, which I'm pretty comfortable with where we are around the perimeter. But we could do, like you mentioned, the unnamed helper. We could start at the very bottom of this ear cartilage and take the whole thing off in one piece. Especially if this was something that you weren't familiar with, you were really unsure of what the shape was supposed to look like, it wouldn't be a bad idea to take it off in one piece. This probably is a medium ear. It's not very different than what we would normally see here.
We always used to do that.
I'm probably going to start right in the middle on this one just because it's easy to get a
trickier.
hold of. It is. It's just a little more time consuming to take it off in one piece. So oftentimes we'll just take the skin and fold it in the middle. Somebody's going to cut their ear in half and they're going to yell. But then we'll score through the cartilage just really lightly. Do this at your own risk.
No questions today.
Oh, yeah.
Eric, not.
Nobody's watching. Are we live?
Yeah.
Are we on?
They're just so mesmerized.
Thanks, Kate.
This is a little like watching grass grow.
A lot like watching grass grow. But we'll make a cut across the cartilage anywhere. It doesn't have to be in the middle. I tried to avoid that hole just so I'm not pulling in two directions on that hole. But I'm just,
And just
lightly
don't cut
scoring
through the show
across.
side.
And if you do,
Don't fix it.
Don't call us. And then once I'm all the way through, you'll see, oh wow, that's a good close-up. You'll be able to see this little dark line, which is the skin. Let's see if I can turn that, yeah. That's the skin line. It's not a cut. And once that's exposed all the way down, I can just start working the cartilage off this direction and off that direction, and you'll see it comes off pretty easily, I think. And we'll just go real slow. Every ear seems to come off different. Sometimes they come off really easily. Sometimes they come off harder. I don't know if that's because of the length of time they were dry salted or age of the animal. But sometimes ears come off exceptionally easy. This one's not coming off so easy. But we'll just continue across, removing this cartilage. And the reason we're removing the cartilage, maybe we should tell them that.
Well, because the cartilage adds thickness. So if you use an ear liner, which we're going to do. Now remember, if you're doing the bonded ear method, don't take the cartilage out. Cartilage stays in on the bonded ear method because that cartilage is going to help give you the shape of the ear. That's very important. Yeah.
We do have a question from William, and William would like to know what is the best method to use on a split ear on a deer hide, bondo, or ear liners?
We've done both, but depends on the split. We like to take the ear liner we're going to use in that ear, lay the ear skin over it, and take a little fine Sharpie or pencil of some sort and trace the split on the ear liner. Then we'll take a scissors and cut that split out. Then we will test fit it, and you have a cut in here to match the split on your ear, and it might take a couple little testings to get it fit in there. Then your glue is going to take up any error that you had in your trimming, and your skin will match the split in your ear liner, and it typically works real good. Some animals that we've done Cape Buffalo that looks like they were cut with a scissors, you know, like many splits in them from thorns, and those we split as much as we can. Might use either epoxy up in there or auto body putty up in there along with an ear liner. Typically we'll use an ear liner in there, but some of them are so complicated that you can't cut it to match.
And that's a really good question, because we do run into a lot of split ears. Some people will actually even leave the split, will split it out in the skin and then slide the liner. Yep, go ahead and let it burst, open up, and then slide the liner in, and then you can either choose to fix it later, or you can cut it completely out, cut the liner out later. I've seen that done, and it's kind of slick. Sometimes it works to different degrees. I think it's all the user.
When you get that off, we're going to lay it right across here, and we're going to see how it fits.
I don't know if I'm going to have anything left.
These people like Kerry Cochran and Clint Rickey, when they design their ears, they're little variations in each of them, but they're both exceptionally, you know, good ears, accurate ears. You don't have to worry about having something that's not going to look like a deer when you're done if you do a good job on splitting and gluing it in.
We've mounted on both, and they do make a nice ear. I'm a little bit short of the tip here, but you want to just show them what the...
So now had you, I don't even know if I got the right ear. Oh yeah, that fits exceptionally. Look at how nice this fits. Now I only have half of it here, but you can lay your ear skin on the liner, and that tells me that at least the outside third of this ear should fit perfectly according to that.
I mean, if that was something that we weren't as familiar as a whitetail, more often than not, we'd leave that hole. We'll take the whole thing off, and then you could test fit the whole, or you could compare the whole liner.
And we do get animals. I mean, we get animals that we don't do every day, like deer. And once you split a deer ear and take the cartilage out, we can look at it and tell you what it's going to be for size, and if it's split to the edges. A glance will tell us if it's split to the edges. It'll jump right out at you with enough experience. Okay, you're going to finish that one, and that'll be ready to mount. We'll might even use one to, we're going to show you how to model clay on next week, I think. Do the ear butts, because we really like that method, building clay ear butts, and it's not as hard as it sounds. We're going to turn you into little sculptors. Then we will probably take one and show you how to glue it in. We're going to show you a whole lot of different adhesives, but we're only going to do it with one of them.
Yeah.
So we'll probably take one of the adhesives of our choice and show you how to glue your ear liner in.
Rough it up, make that nice, pretty ear liner, all rough and yucky looking.
You know, it's kind of funny because we spend so much time making these mannequin sculptures as perfect as we can get, and Clint and Tim's ears, I mean, these are just gorgeous ear liners. We're going to scratch them all up. We're going to make them look not so pretty. And that's for next week, and we'll see how far we get. We'll try to, I don't know, might do a kudu, might do a whitetail.
Still going to be sitting here taking ear.
Oh, I don't think so. You're faster than you think. And we're going to give away Champion's Choice ear liners, brand new pair. These are just hot off the market. Champion Choice ear liners by Clint Rickey and Tim Grenchen. And all you have to do is like and share, like and share, like and share.
Yes, that is correct.
They can do it a lot of times, right?
Just once.
Oh, once.
You can, well, when we're live, you can,
As they want.
we have those fun emojis at the bottom that you can do a million of if you want. By just liking it will only need to be done once.
I don't know how it works. And the winner is
Mike Cottrell.
Mike. Congratulations. Give them a try. I think you'll like them. Tune in next week and we'll show you how we use them and how good they work.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.